Hello everyone, welcome to Anime Dreams, your go-to channel for creative fanfiction and crossover explorations. Today, we're diving into a unique scenario, Naruko and Blue Lock, a crossover story. Disclaimer, all content on this channel is intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used, and all rights belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Naruko was never one to sit still for too long. She had a spark inside her that always pushed her forward. Even when life threw a challenge her way, she found a way to bounce back, sometimes with a little more style than most. But today felt different. Earlier, she had faced her first real defeat. It wasn't just a small loss, it lingered in her mind like a stubborn shadow. Even 2 days later, she couldn't shake the memory of that single moment when everything went wrong. This is tough, she muttered quietly, shaking her head. Practicing alone hadn't helped either. She had promised herself she would get stronger, not weaker. She had a big goal ahead, and there was no time to dwell on setbacks. As Naruko wandered home, lost in thought, she found herself on the quiet street court where a few kids had played just days before. Tonight, it was empty, no teammates, no cheering friends, no distractions. Just the faint glow of the streetlights. That's when she noticed someone on the court. A boy with golden hair, a bit shorter than her, was dribbling a basketball all by himself. His hair stuck up in messy spikes, and bright whisker-like markings danced across his cheeks. Even from a distance, his movements looked quick and full of energy, like he was imagining a whole game in his head. Naruko's curiosity sparked. She dropped her bag and approached him. "Hey there. Those are some pretty interesting moves," she said. The boy froze mid-dribble, looking up at her. "Oh. Thanks. I was just practicing a little. I saw some people playing earlier and thought I'd try it out." "You don't play on a team?" she asked. "Nope," he replied shyly. "This is my first time really holding a basketball. I was just experimenting." Naruko's eyes widened. "First time? And you're already that good?" He scratched the back of his head, smiling nervously. "I guess. I just follow what feels natural, I suppose." Naruko grinned. She could feel her excitement building. She kicked off her school jacket and stepped onto the court. "Then let's see what you've got. One-on-one. Friendly match, just between us." The boy blinked.
I don't even know the rules well."
"That's okay. This isn't a real match. Just fun." With that, they faced each other. Naruko watched as the boy dribbled calmly, the silence of the court making every movement seem sharper. Then, in a blink, he surged forward. Naruko reacted just in time, blocking his path. But he was quick, so quick that a second later, he cut in the opposite direction, switching the ball between hands. Naruko laughed as she chased him, determined not to let him score easily. Step by step, cut by cut, they raced around the court. And then it happened, the boy made a smooth, clever move and scored. Naruko's eyes sparkled with admiration. That was amazing," she exclaimed. "You totally outmaneuvered me." He laughed, rubbing the back of his head. "Thanks. I guess I just have a bit of natural speed, I suppose." Naruko clapped her hands. "Well, if that's the case, how would you like to join my team? We could use someone with your talent." The boy's eyes widened. "Really? You want me on your team?" "Absolutely." Naruko nodded. "We practice every afternoon. I can even pick you up if you like. Come on, it'll be fun." After a moment, he smiled. "All right. If you're that serious, I'll give it a try. I don't have anything else going on anyway." Naruko's grin could have lit up the whole court. "It's a promise then." The next day at practice, her teammates couldn't believe the change in her. Naruko had never been this bubbly or excited before. "What's gotten into her?" whispered one teammate. "She's just thrilled," another said. "Someone special is joining today, I think." When Naruko arrived with her new teammate, the coach raised an eyebrow. The boy, now her teammate, was in a neat school uniform, an orange shirt peeking from under his blazer. Naruko beamed. "This is the person I was telling you about," she said. The coach looked doubtful. "You're sure about this?" Naruko nodded confidently. "Absolutely. She's amazing. You'll see." To prove it, Naruko suggested a quick challenge, 2-on-4 against her new friend and herself. The coach hesitated but eventually agreed. Naruko's grin stretched from ear to ear. "Don't worry," she said. "We've got this. Just watch." Her teammate gave a small, quiet smile. He didn't need to say anything. Naruko already knew she had found someone incredible, and together, they were going to have a lot of fun. The others on the team whispered among themselves as they watched the first string players get ready for another practice match, only this one seemed even more unusual than the last. Naruko, dressed neatly in slacks and a t-shirt, stood on one side of the court with Kais, while the rest of the first string lined up on the other. Is this really fair? Naruko wondered quietly. Or does this kind of thing happen in basketball all the time? I don't think it would happen in a real match, Kais replied, shrugging. But this is just practice, so we can bend the rules a little. That was a relief. Naruko smiled to herself, feeling a little more at ease. On the sidelines, the coach watched carefully, his eyes sharp and calculating. He wasn't yet convinced that this Uzumaki Naruko was anything special, but he knew it was wise to keep an eye on her. The last match had taught him that sometimes, the unexpected could surprise even the best players. The ball was tossed to Kais and Naruko, landing in Kais's hands first. The first string defenders got into position as Kais began moving forward. Kasamatsu went straight for Kais, guarding the ace closely. This is the first time I'm really playing against you, Captain, Kais said, grinning. Just play the game, Kasamatsu replied, a little impatient. He was curious to see what Kais saw in Naruko. Naruko didn't say a word. She let her actions speak for her. Slowly, she began moving closer to the basket, with Hayakawa keeping a careful watch. Moriyama and Kobori stood near the post, ready for anything. Kais made a quick fake, tricking Kasamatsu just long enough to pass the ball to Naruko before reaching the three-point line. Naruko caught it effortlessly, and Hayakawa stepped forward, ready to block her. Bring it on. He called. Naruko ignored the challenge and focused on moving forward. What happened next made the coach's eyes widen. With a quick, graceful dribble, Naruko glided past Hayakawa before he could even react. Her speed was incredible, maybe even faster than Kais. But two more defenders, Moriyama and Kobori, were still in her path. They jumped to block her, but Naruko had a surprise of her own. With a bright smile, she leapt into the air, soaring toward the basket. Higher and higher she went, landing the ball cleanly in the hoop. The two defenders tumbled back in shock, staring up at Naruko in disbelief. What just happened? Kasamatsu muttered, astonished. Naruko wasn't particularly tall, nor did she look especially strong, yet she had just made a basket through two defenders as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Even Kais looked surprised. He knew Naruko was fast, but her strength? That was something new. Naruko leaned down and offered a hand to each of the fallen players. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to go that hard. Handling the ball is still a bit tricky for me. Kobori and Moriyama accepted her hands and smiled. Don't worry, Kobori said warmly. You're really good. We underestimated you. Yeah, Moriyama added. That was impressive. Naruko shrugged, grinning sheepishly. Well, I'm still learning, but, thanks. Kais turned to Kasamatsu with a triumphant smirk. See? I told you she was amazing. Kasamatsu just huffed, annoyed, but he couldn't deny it. On the sidelines, the coach watched thoughtfully, wondering if this little display of skill might be a sign of something special to come. Around the court, the rest of the team gathered around Naruko, congratulating her and cheering her on. Kais had his arm around her shoulder, laughing and celebrating, and Naruko laughed along, feeling a warm glow of belonging. It had been a simple practice match, but it was also the start of something bigger, a friendship and a future full of possibilities for Naruko. Lady Kaga Michiko. Widow, and owner of one of the biggest and most prosperous pharmaceutical companies in all of Japan. Her husband had built the company into a giant, and now it was all hers. To most people, this would seem like a dream come true. But not to her. She had wealth, she had power, but it had come at a heartbreaking cost. She was a widow, yes, but the pain ran deeper. She had also lost her only child, a bright spark of joy in her life, in a sudden accident. The two people who mattered most to her were gone. No amount of money could fill that emptiness. Afterward, she withdrew from the world, locking herself inside her grand mansion. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months, with Michiko wandering through her house like a shadow of her former self. The company ran under the guidance of a trusted board chosen by her late husband, but Michiko had no interest in business anymore. Life had lost its color. Yet people still said she was beautiful, graceful, even in her sorrow. They whispered that she could start again, find happiness. But how could she, when everything she loved was gone? And then, one morning, something unexpected happened. Just as swiftly as life had taken her family from her, it gave her a new beginning. Uzumaki Naruko. The young girl had been discovered in the gardens of Michiko's mansion, hurt and exhausted, with tattered clothes and a frightened look in her eyes. It seemed as if she had wandered through a storm or some terrible misadventure. Michiko's heart stirred. Without thinking, she called for help and had Naruko cared for immediately. Watching Naruko slowly recover over weeks, Michiko felt something she hadn't felt in years: hope. She didn't know the girl's story, nor where she had come from, but instinct told her to protect her. Michiko's heart recognized a bond that went beyond words, the bond of a mother. She couldn't let this child suffer, not when she knew all too well the pain of losing someone you love. Naruko awoke one day with no memory of her past, only her name. She didn't remember where she had come from, who she was, or why she was here. But that didn't matter. Michiko offered her love and guidance, helping her heal not just her body, but her spirit. Over time, they grew inseparable. Naruko became Michiko's family, and Michiko, once hollow and lost, found joy in life again. Through Naruko, Michiko discovered a reason to smile, a reason to engage with the world. She returned to her company with renewed energy, not for wealth or power, but because she now had someone to share her life with. Naruko, meanwhile, embraced her new home and family. She kept her name, the only piece of her past she remembered, and grew stronger and more confident each day. Together, they faced the world, lifting each other up and finding happiness in the simplest things: laughter, friendship, and shared adventures. Later, life brought new challenges, as it always does. Naruko's friend Sugawara Yuki, also 17, often worried about her. Yuki had icy blue eyes and short, dark hair that framed her determined face. Despite being Naruko's friend, she also worked as her personal assistant, a role assigned by Michiko to make sure Naruko stayed safe and guided. "Why did you skip school again?" Yuki asked, crossing her arms. Naruko grinned sheepishly. "I found something interesting, and I wanted to handle it myself first." Yuki's eyes narrowed. "Interesting enough to skip class?" "Naruko, you can't just do whatever you want." I know, Naruko said, laughing lightly. "But you'll see. It's really exciting. You'll like it." Yuki sighed, shaking her head. "You're impossible. But I guess I just don't want you to waste your gifts." Naruko's smile softened. "Gifts? Yeah. You have so much potential," Yuki said quietly. "I just want to see you use it." Naruko thought about that as she walked alongside Yuki. It was rare to feel so cared for, and it made her feel a little braver. Life had given her a second chance, and she wasn't about to waste it. One day, Naruko approached Michiko with a bold request. "I want to join the basketball team at Keiho High," she said, eyes shining with determination. Michiko looked at her, surprised. "Basketball? But why Keiho?" "Because I want to play. I want to push myself and learn something new," Naruko explained, her voice steady. Yuki peeked at Michiko, equally surprised. "You didn't tell me about this," she said softly. "I decided on my own," Naruko said confidently. "I can handle it." Michiko studied her for a long moment, seeing the fire in her eyes. This was the first time she had seen Naruko genuinely excited about something. With a gentle smile, she finally nodded. "All right. If this is what you want, then I support you," Michiko said. Naruko's face lit up. "Thank you, Ka-chan. I promise I won't let you down." Michiko returned her smile, feeling a warmth she hadn't known in years. For both of them, life had begun again, brighter, kinder, and full of promise. And together, they would make the most of it. "Who's the hot girl with you, Uzumaki? That's the first thing you say to me? Seriously? I don't know if I should laugh or not." "You didn't answer the question." "She's my friend, now stop talking." "But she's a babe." "Ugh." The others on the team couldn't help but giggle as Kais practically jumped on Naruko the moment she walked into the gym. Standing next to her was Yuki, who looked entirely bewildered by the strange, energetic interaction. Kasamatsu tried to calm his beating heart a little. He was always shy around girls, especially those with bright personalities. Talking to them felt like trying to climb a mountain barefoot, impossible. He could keep Kais in line, maybe, but speaking to a girl? That was a whole other level of challenge. "I'm glad you came," Coach Takeuchi Genta said warmly, shaking hands with her. "I was surprised at how quickly you sent back the paperwork. That really saves us a lot of trouble." "It's no problem, Coach. I'm happy to be here and play with all of you," Naruko replied with a confident smile. She had contacted her mom and sent over the transfer paperwork to Keiho High without delay. It would still take a few days to become official, but for all intents and purposes, she was now part of the team. Right? Kai said, forgetting Yuki for a moment and winking at her. Now you can play with us. The others won't know what hit them. Naruko raised an eyebrow, sensing that Kais might be referring to someone in particular, but she didn't question it, for now. Kasamatsu joined the conversation, trying his best not to trip over his words. You said you don't know much about basketball, right? Yeah, about that. Naruko pulled out her phone and showed Kasamatsu the messages Kais had sent her, explaining the rules, tips, and even recommending books for her to read. I don't know everything yet, but I'm getting there. Wait a second, Yuki exclaimed, eyes wide. You read books? Naruko, you never read books. Only manga. Naruko shrugged, proud of her honesty. Yeah. Well, sometimes books are boring. I agree with you there, Kai said, nodding eagerly. If it's not about basketball, books can be a snooze. You only say that because your grades aren't perfect, Moriyama teased. School's boring, okay. Kais defended himself, holding his ground. Naruko laughed. She liked that he was so confident in his silly opinions, it made him endearing. Yuki could only shake her head and sigh. Two blondes with boundless energy? She was not prepared. Well, come on, people, let's get started, Coach Takeuchi said, clapping his hands. We have a lot to teach our new member, and the Inter-High is coming up. Let's make every practice count. The Inter-High, the chance to play against the best schools, had Naruko's heart racing with excitement. And you, miss? Kais turned to Yuki, smiling his brightest. Are you sticking around? Yuki nodded. Yes. I'm here to look after Naruko, so. Kais sank dramatically to his knees. So it's just for Uzumaki. I've already lost, haven't I? Naruko rolled her eyes, but she was grateful Kasamatsu held back her instinct to playfully scold him. Are you sure you want to stay? Don't you have your own club after school? I told them I wouldn't be coming today, Yuki said with a cheerful smile. I'm curious to see how Naruko does here. Plus, maybe I can make some new friends too. Yuki then reached into her bag and handed Naruko a bento. I made this for you. Practice as hard as you like, you'll have plenty of energy. Naruko's eyes sparkled. Yuki's cooking was legendary, even in their old school. She always knew exactly how to make food that warmed your heart and fueled your body. Kais nearly fainted again. She even cooks for her? Moriyama groaned in disbelief. A perfect 10. But what hope do I have? The universe is cruel. Naruko and Yuki just exchanged amused glances, sweat dropping at the dramatic display. One thing was certain, there would never be a dull day in the Keiho High basketball club. To say Yuki was amazed was an understatement. It was well known at their school that Naruko never got along with anyone. Not because people didn't want to be friends with her, but because they thought she was unreachable. With the way Naruko acted, often daydreaming in class or slipping away during breaks, she hardly made it easier. But really, it was just that Naruko was bored. She didn't pay attention to much, so she drifted through life like a leaf in the wind. Today, though, Yuki saw a different side to her. Naruko was actually trying at something, and more than that, she was having fun. The others on the court were the same. Practice was tough, but nobody complained. They were smiling, laughing even, and Naruko and Kais in particular seemed to be communicating through the game itself. It was as if basketball had become their secret language. As confusing as it was still beautiful to witness. The rest of the team focused on the sudden synchronicity between the two blondes. They could almost read each other's minds, improvising plays without a word. This is the first time I've seen Kais work this well with anyone else, the coach thought as he watched Naruko join their team for the first practice. It opened up all sorts of exciting possibilities. Practice ended with everyone in high spirits, well, almost everyone. Kais and Moriyama sank into despair when they saw Naruko opening the bento Yuki had packed for her. Everyone else just shook their heads at the scene. Yuki, on the other hand, was all smiles. You did great, Naruko-chan. Naruko looked away, hiding a blush. Yeah. I guess. It was fun. More than fun, I'd say. Yuki tilted her head. I wonder if I could join the club too, once we transfer. Eh? Kais's face twisted in surprise. You're joining Keiho too? Why? Yuki smiled innocently. Because Naruko-chan is? She said it like it was the most obvious thing in the world, which, to her, it was. Everyone just stared. She's that devoted? Naruko twitched. I think they just misunderstood something. She didn't bother correcting them. Less attention on Yuki meant fewer distractions, and that was fine. Well, you're always welcome to join, Kobori said with a friendly smile. I'm sure the coach wouldn't mind some extra helping hands. Great. I'll definitely do that then. Yuki beamed. Are you sure it's just for me? Naruko asked, scratching her head. Yuki shook her head, still smiling. No, it's not like that. I just want to see you do your best. That's why it's no problem. Is that so? Naruko thought. How much did this girl want to see her give it her all? It was embarrassing in the best way. All right, enough of that. Kais pulled Naruko gently into a headlock. It's not fair if you're the only one getting attention here. It makes me jealous. Naruko almost struggled back but stopped when Kais loosened the hold, smiling slightly. Do you have time after practice? There's something I want to talk about. Naruko raised an eyebrow. Something important, I hope? Uzumakiki, that hurts my feelings, Kais teased. Naruko doubted it, but she didn't refuse. Something in her gut told her it was serious. Fine. We can grab something to eat while we talk. Kais blinked. Eh? Didn't you already eat your friend's bento? Friend? Yuki looked away, hiding a blush, while Naruko shrugged. Yeah, that was just a snack. I'm still hungry. How are you not full yet? Naruko shrugged again. Yuki and her mother had been asking the same thing for years. Some mysteries never get solved. Dash. The trio found themselves at a small ramen stand, cozy and simple, unlike anything Kais had expected. To Naruko, visiting after practice was like a little reward for a job well done. You really shouldn't eat stuff like this all the time, Kais said, shaking his head. It's not ideal for someone who plays so much basketball. I've barely started, Naruko replied with a grin. Cut me some slack. Yuki rolled her eyes. Don't worry, Kais-san. I'll make sure Naruko-chan eats healthier from now on. Hee, you're very caring, Yuki-chan, Kais said, clearly amused. Naruko almost wanted to correct him but instead steered the conversation toward the real reason they were here. So, what did you want to talk about? Or is this just an excuse to mess with my ramen time? Nope, Kais said. It's about basketball. Something. Interesting. Interesting? Naruko and Yuki leaned in. Have you heard of the generation of miracles? Nope. Kais's eyes sparkled. Really? That quick? It's true, Naruko said. Yuki hummed thoughtfully, as if the name sounded familiar. Kais's smile faltered. You're making me cry over here. I didn't know anything about it, Naruko said simply. Yuki jumped slightly. I remember now. Some girls in my club mentioned them. They were supposed to be a legendary middle school basketball team, Yuki explained. They should be in high school now. Yes. Kais beamed. And I was one of them. One of the generation of miracles. Naruko and Yuki exchanged glances before looking back at Kais, unsure how to react. I see, Yuki said quietly. So that's why you're so determined. Kais chuckled, laying his head on his palm. You two are surprisingly calm about this. Naruko shrugged. We've both experienced boredom. Winning isn't the only thing that drives people. Exactly, Kais said, smiling. Back in middle school, my team won everything. But it felt empty. We were skilled, but victory wasn't enough. Now, we promised each other to meet again, this time as rivals. And I want you to be part of it too, Naruko-chan. Naruko grinned, feeling that familiar spark of excitement. Then we understand each other. Yes, Kais said. To challenge boredom, chase dreams, and grow together. That's our plan. Yuki rolled her eyes fondly, realizing they were leaving her out of some secret plot again, but smiled anyway. Boys would be boys, and sometimes girls too. The first week of training continued this way, with Naruko getting more familiar with the game and learning what to do, and, just as importantly, what not to do. At first, progress was slow, but she was starting to get the hang of it. It was during this time that Yuki officially joined the basketball club as well, acting as the coach's assistant in every way she could. She brought drinks to everyone, handed out fresh towels, and even prepared little snacks to give the players that extra boost during practice. The team had taken to calling her the Princess in Blue, a playful nickname that made everyone smile, and sometimes groan a little in jealousy, whenever Naruko received a bit of her special attention. Kasamatsu still struggled to talk to Yuki, which secretly made her giggle. By the end of that first week, both Naruko and Yuki officially transferred to Keiho High. Naruko's first complaint came immediately on the first day of class. "Why do we have to wear these things?" she grumbled, tugging at her tie. The rest of the uniform didn't help her mood either. It made her feel like she was heading to a very boring meeting instead of school. "Stop being such a baby," Yuki scolded, adjusting her own gray skirt. "You don't have to tie it so tightly. Besides, one day you might need to wear something like this for work. Better get used to it." Naruko shivered at the thought. "Don't even joke about that. And anyway, I have you. I'm sure you can handle all that boring stuff for me." Yuki froze, her face turning bright red. "Hey. Me? Handle your boring stuff? Wait. Are you proposing?" Naruko blinked. She had no idea why Yuki looked so flustered. "Don't get so worked up," she said, trying to wave it off. "I wasn't saying anything serious." Just then, Kais walked up, also in uniform, giving them a teasing look. "Flirting so early in the day? You're going to make everyone jealous," he said with a smirk. "You have a weird imagination, Kais," Naruko replied flatly. Hi, Kais chuckled. "But seeing you two like this makes it feel official." Naruko groaned. "How can anyone wear this thing all day?" "It's stylish," Kais winked. "Though I wish we had a better color." Naruko rolled her eyes. He was a model, of course he'd care about that. "Anyway, we're switching things up for practice today," Kais announced. "Consider it my declaration of war." "Declaration of war?" Naruko raised an eyebrow. "You'll see later," Kais said with a grin, strolling off. "I'm looking forward to it, Uzumaki." Naruko scratched her cheek. "Weird." Yuki poked her. "You don't have room to talk. Honestly, you seem to only make friends with weird people." Naruko tilted her head. "Then what does that make you?" She smiled. "The exception to the rule." Naruko pouted. Yuki always had a comeback ready. She was smart, very smart. As the day went on, anticipation bubbled inside Naruko. Kais's declaration of war made her even less interested in classes, much to Yuki's quiet frustration. At least she couldn't slap her in the middle of class, Naruko reminded herself. Education had its perks after all. When they finally arrived at practice, the reason for Kais's plan became clear. "A practice match?" Yuki asked, looking confused. "Yep, Kais's idea," Moriyama said. "He said it would spice things up." "You can't always trust what he says," Kobori added, nodding toward Kais, who was staring at Naruko. "His real goal is obvious." Yuki understood immediately. Kais wanted to play against Naruko. "So that's what this is about," Naruko said, smiling. She was ready for the challenge. Kasamatsu, standing next to the coach, crossed his arms. "I can't believe you allowed this." The coach grunted. "It's natural. Kais wants to face Naruko, and if they both grow from it, I can't complain. You know the kind of competition we'll face soon." "Yes, the other top players." Naruko's heart raced in excitement. Kasamatsu sighed. "Well, might as well get the show started." Yuki sat next to the coach as the two teams were picked. The first string was divided equally. On one side was Naruko, Moriyama, and Hayakawa. Nakamura was also with them, along with another player from the second string. On Kais's side were Kasamatsu, Kobori, and two other second-string players. Naruko and her team wore bright white uniforms, while Kais's team wore calm blue. "All of this was planned, Naruko said, looking around at the others, who all shrugged. "I didn't know anything about this until now, if that makes you feel better," Moriyama said honestly. Kais hadn't included anyone in this little scheme, probably only he and the captain knew. "We'll still win this, no, problem," Hayakawa shouted enthusiastically, her words tangled but full of energy. "Well, winning against Kais here would feel amazing," Nakamura said quietly. She wasn't especially close to her junior, but she respected him. "I'm not getting my hopes up too high, though." Naruko cracked her neck, smiling with determination. "There's no need to say anything. Let your skills do the talking." Everyone nodded in agreement. Kais smirked, locking eyes with Naruko. "That's exactly what I want. Come at me with everything you've got." Naruko returned the smile, a spark in her eyes. "Just make sure you don't regret it." Even from the sidelines, Yuki could feel the energy between the two. It was different from anything she'd seen before, a mix of excitement and focus that made the air seem brighter and more electric. Kasamatsu sighed. "Stupid fools," he thought. This practice match was going to be far more serious than anyone imagined. It was time for Naruko and Kais to face off. Eh? You're doing the tip-off, Uzumaki? Kobori asked, surprised. Naruko didn't have the tallest frame, but her confidence shone through. Don't worry about me, senpai. I've got this, Naruko said. Kobori gave her a flat stare and then looked at Moriyama, who shrugged. Naruko wanted to do it, so they let her. If she failed, it was on her own shoulders. Ha, you really are brave, huh, Uzumaki? Kai said with a teasing smile. Naruko didn't respond, her focus already sharp. From the sidelines, Yuki felt her heart swell. As much as she liked Kais's playful energy, Naruko had a light that drew her in. She silently cheered for her friend. The second string player stood between Naruko and Kobori as the tip-off began. Silence fell over the gym, only the sound of sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Then, the jump began. Naruko and Kobori soared into the air together, but it was Naruko who reached the ball first, snatching it with quick, powerful precision despite being shorter. She has amazing explosive strength, the coach thought, impressed. Her body radiated energy and determination. She tipped the ball to Moriyama, who caught it smoothly. Kais was already rushing to defend, and her teammates followed suit. Kasamatsu positioned himself against Moriyama, while Kobori moved closer to the hoop. Don't think we'll go easy on you now, Kasamatsu warned. Moriyama grinned. I'm sure our ace wouldn't like that. Kasamatsu just nodded. Moriyama dribbled, trying to slip past the third year, but Kasamatsu stayed close, blocking every move. Realizing she couldn't get through, Moriyama passed the ball to Naruko, who had Kais hot on her heels. The gym seemed to hold its breath. Everyone knew they were about to witness something rare, two skilled players, each capable of carrying a team on her own. Naruko and Kais faced each other, eyes locked, ready to move at any second. From the sidelines, Yuki's heart raced. This is the first time I'm seeing them really go head to head. In an instant, Naruko moved, faster than before. Her steps were nimble, her turns unpredictable, but full of control. Kais tried to keep up, grinning despite his struggle, while Naruko darted past him with a clever crossover. Kobori jumped to block her, but Naruko glided around him, her energy almost bouncing off the court as if she was dancing. Is passing the ball all you can do? Nakamura called, smiling. I like passing, Naruko laughed, twirling the ball with finesse before launching it to Moriyama. Kais scowled but couldn't hide a small smile. Her moves. They remind me of someone I admire. That's why I want to match her today. I have to try my best. Kasamatsu shook his head, but a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Just don't make a fool of yourself, and we'll be fine. Kais's grin returned. I wouldn't dream of it. And so the game continued, bright and playful, filled with laughter, cheers, and the unstoppable energy of Naruko leading her team with courage, creativity, and heart. The ball was live again, Kasamatsu leading the charge for his team on a fast counterattack. Let's go, Captain, Hayakawa shouted, keeping close to him this time. So determined, Kasamatsu thought, shaking his head before diving into a quick drive, dribbling the ball so fast that Hayakawa struggled to keep up. One person alone won't be enough to stop the captain, Nakamura had thought ahead, already ready to swoop in for a steal after Kasamatsu zoomed past. Once Kasamatsu was in motion, it was easy to flank him if you timed it just right, and Nakamura did it perfectly. What? Kasamatsu almost shouted as she realized the ball had slipped from her hands. Nakamura was already racing toward the other side of the court. Even in practice, Nakamura was known for being a clever defender. But trouble awaited Nakamura too. Kobori was already at the net, ready to block any shot. Maybe a rebound is better than a risky shot. Nakamura thought. They had Hayakawa on their team, after all, and it gave her enough confidence to aim for a clean three-pointer. She leapt, and swish. The ball sailed perfectly through the hoop. Not bad, the coach muttered, smiling. He was glad to see the players trying new things, even in practice. Yuki just sat quietly, watching every move. Looks like we aren't the only ones excited for this, Kai said with a chuckle. Naruko nodded in agreement, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. The ball returned to Kasamatsu's hands, but this time she wasn't about to make the same mistake. She passed it quickly to Kais, with Naruko standing guard and ready to block any move. Another one-on-one. Moriyama thought, watching with interest. Everyone in the gym was on the edge of their seats. Kais charged forward with the ball, fierce and fearless, while Naruko matched her every step. Being smaller gave Naruko extra agility, letting her pivot and dodge, but Kais had a trick ready. In a blur, Kais performed a clever double crossover, Naruko's own signature move from last week. Naruko's eyes went wide as Kais zipped past and scored a graceful dunk, landing lightly on the floor with a cheeky grin. Don't think this will be as easy as before, Naruko. Or you might just fall behind. Naruko blinked, amazed that her own moves had been turned against her so cleverly. Kais. Kasamatsu thought, impressed. Kais had been practicing hard all week, watching Naruko closely and learning her patterns. And now, all that effort was paying off. Yuki's eyes were wide too. It's almost like watching another Naruko on the court. She whispered. Everyone else just stared, unsure of what to say, feeling the thrill of the game. The shock faded, and Naruko's determination only grew stronger. Her heart raced with excitement and the pure joy of playing. You've really done it now, Kais, she said, smiling fiercely. This practice match was just getting started. Dear YouTube family, this is all for now. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing to my channel for more updates and adventures in the world of anime. Thank you for your support. Anime Dreams.